get into it. Hold On For Sale podcast, Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan and Freeway Ricky Ross. I don't know if you know who Freeway Ricky Ross is. He's a gentleman who was selling dramatic, severe amounts of illegal substances, a wild amount. And it turns out that there was an agency and they were allowing him to move these amounts because it was helping them fund a war. It was a wild situation. He got put in jail. They did it unjustly. And by that, I mean, they just did it the wrong way. They gave him his 3 strikes on the same conviction, and you're not allowed to do that. And the way that he found this out was he couldn't read in jail, learned how to read, started learning law, got his conviction overturned, and got released. So the real Rick Ross is not a rapper, just so you know. He's just a guy who used to sell a dramatic amount of stuff. Now, in this conversation, they are talking about legalization of marijuana and how much money people are making and who's making that money now. And then they touch on the hip hop industry being created, or at least being molded and pushed by this very same agency. Now, we're going to get into that a little bit. And after I play this Joe Rogan clip, I'm going to play a clip of Ice Cube. Well, first, Tucker Carlson, because Tucker Carlson sits down with somebody and they touch on how much hip hop has negatively impacted the black community. Then we're going to play Ice Cube talking to Bill Maher about how the jail industry, the prison industry, and the hip hop industry, the music industry are actually connected. So let's get into that. Don't forget about the new channel, Coach Colin Media. We got 123 videos up now. The latest one is Biden's BS executive order and Hunter Biden found guilty on all gun charges. Now, if you want to hit that subscribe button, there's a link in the description. But other than that, folks, let's watch this Rogan clip.
Legalize it in taxi. Even if you don't want to do it yourself, you don't have to do it yourself. I know a lot of people that hate weed. Good. Don't use it. You don't have to. I get it.
And don't sell it.
Don't sell it.
But you know what's so funny? The people who used to lock everybody up, now they selling it.
A lot of them do. Yeah, I know cops that sell weed now.
Well, the biggest cop, the biggest weed dealer probably in America was an ex-cop. He's the biggest guy. He just bought $5 million square feet of grow area.
That's so bananas.
He's the biggest. He's the biggest guy probably in the country.
Well, good for him. But that should be.
They used to lock people up.
So nuts. So nuts.
I mean, those should be the guys that say, "Oh, you used to lock people up for marijuana. You cannot get into business."
Yeah.
If I had my way, that's what I would do. Hey,
yeah.
Did you lock somebody up?
Yeah.
Okay, you can't get in.
Or we take the amount of time that you locked all those people up for, and then you have to wait that amount of time before you can sell weed. So you can sell weed in 3 more lives. Probably wouldn't even be that. It'd probably be like 100 lives.
Yeah, this country's crazy, man.
Wow, people are crazy. People are crazy everywhere. You know, it's like it's hard to keep your shit together. You know, and we give people power over other people. People that don't have their shit together have power over other people, and then things just get worse.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird we don't learn. You know, a friend of mine sent me the lyrics to the song I'd Love to Change the World, which is like 70, 71 or something like that. And he's like, isn't it crazy that there's like a cycle? Like, because the same shit they're talking about then is going on now. And then I sent him this Assyrian tablet from 2800 BC that talked about the same thing. We talked about it the other day on the podcast, this Assyrian tablet that talked about the end of the world, that children aren't listening to their parents and people are lying and the world's falling apart. In 2800 BC.
Wow.
So it's like this cycle of people being stupid and just not getting their shit together has been going on forever. But there's never been more information than ever before. Like the access to information that people have right now is unprecedented.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that we continue to make the same stupid mistakes, regardless of that, is just really insane. That's what's really disheartening.
But you know what? The way I see it, it doesn't matter if you're smart. It's who got the loudest horn. If your horn toots the loudest,
right,
everybody hears you.
And if the message gets out first, if the loud toot horn message gets out first, it takes forever for the truth to like overcome that.
To get in.
Yeah, forever. Because also people don't once they accept something in their head, it takes forever.
Oh, yeah, it becomes theirs. They own it.
They own it.
This is mine.
They don't want to change it. Something has to happen to them, but they change it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree. I say that all the time. You know, you talk to people and you be like, man, that didn't work. Oh no, it worked. I just did it wrong that time. You know?
Let's keep trying to lock people up. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it through locking people up.
Yeah. We're going to get it right. We just got to lock up more people, build more jails,
Yeah.
hire more police.
Yeah. It's just disheartening when you see the same patterns repeated over and over again, regardless of how much people know. But I think there's also a problem with, we think people know, but I think a lot of people don't know what the fuck is going on. A lot of people don't really have an understanding.
Where they going to get the information?
Right, exactly.
Who they get it from?
Right.
We already went through CNN, Fox, the local radio station, you know, and especially if you're talking about hip hop. I mean, if you turn on hip hop radio stations, I would not let my kids listen to a hip hop radio station because they're going to be talking about killing, pimping, selling drugs, killing. I mean, you'd be like, what the fuck? They let this stuff play on the air? I mean, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
And then they wonder why the kids bring guns to school.
But did you also see there's been these articles written about the CIA's involvement in the creation of gangster rap? That they help promote and push gangster rap.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, this is all of it's controversial, but I wouldn't be surprised because apparently they had some sort of an involvement in the rock and roll movement of the 1960s in Laurel Canyon, and there's been books written about this. That they have some sort of involvement in promoting these kind of activities, both with rock and roll in the 60s and then gangster rap in the 80s, and they do it to try. I think the idea is they do it to try to make sure that society is always in a state of unrest, and that they wanted to keep.
They need
people,
that.
Yeah, they wanted to keep people in a state of unrest and promote criminal behavior and criminal activity and gang activity, and to do it in popular music, and that would make more crime and make more things happen, and that they can get away with more levers of control because of that.
Makes sense.
See, you've seen that before, right, Jamie?
Yeah, it comes from this.
Is it bullshit?
Well, it's not that it's bullshit. It's like an anonymous letter that went around the internet.
The secret meeting that changed rap music and destroyed a generation.
So it got printed on like a hip hop blog, and
Okay.
then kind of went viral from there.
Oh yeah, I remember that letter.
Yeah.
They talked about the big meeting where all the record labels got together because they knew they wasn't selling music anymore, so they invested in prisons.
Yeah, but that doesn't say. No one knows who wrote it. No
Right.
one's ever claimed like that was me.
Right. That's it. That's the only source of it. There wasn't other sources.
And then it went viral, and everyone, some people that liked it, repeated it, and others, I don't know. It seems to be the source of it.
I thought there was some other things. I thought there was other discussions about different meetings that took place.
Nothing official.
I wouldn't be surprised though.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
If you listen to what they're promoting now, they don't promote no positive music.
Right.
No love songs. When we was coming up, it was by love songs.
Right. Marvin Gaye.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Luther Vandross. Yeah. It's weird that. I mean, that would be a strategy that would work if you wanted civil unrest. If you wanted people to stay fucked up, you wanted people to not organize, not rise up. What's the best strategy? Promote illegal activity. Promote it. Promote drug dealings. Promote
Make
killing.
it look good.
Make it look good.
Dress them up. Give me Evander Holyfield's house. Even if you used to be a correctional officer.
Yeah.
And now you're a gangster.
Yeah.
Tell them you stole 300 kilos. Oh, how'd you get this house? Oh, I sold 300 kilos.
How many people do you think actually know the story, the whole story, the real story, your story of you and this guy who calls himself Rick Ross?
I think older people know, but younger people don't. They don't get it.
Wow.
They're not educated on facts. They don't go with facts. They go with what they hear on the radio, what their local DJ talks about. Those are the things that they go with, and we already know that the local DJ is getting paid by the record companies, so that's what they believe.
Yeah, it's funny the fact that a lot of younger people don't know that this is Rick Ross, and they think it's the big fat guy who always wears the big glasses, and it's very, very interesting. I only know about the actual Rick Ross because of Joe Rogan. He did the episode years ago. Years ago, he interviewed Freeway Ricky Ross, right? So long ago. I want to say maybe 10 years ago, he interviewed this guy. I think they might have done 2 episodes, and that's it. And that's the only reason I knew the whole story. And then the rapper Rick Ross got sued by this guy. And then I was like, oh, okay, so this is really true. And that's why, if you notice now, Rick Ross calls himself Ricky Rose or Rose. Now he calls himself that. Very, very interesting stuff. And very terrible what they did. They He went to a lawsuit. The record company spent $1 million and then paid this guy nothing. And in fact, because this guy lost the case, he actually owes the record label $1 million because he has to pay their legal fees because he lost the case. And the only reason he lost the case is because he didn't put this case forward within 2 years of all this happening, which would have been him having to implement this case while he was still in jail. It was just such a raw deal and kind of shows a little bit more about how the music industry is just so foul. Now, the next clip I'm going to play for you is Tucker Carlson sitting down with Vince Everett Ellis. I love this guy. If you're a watcher of both my channels, you're going to see this guy throughout the week a few times because I love what this guy has to say. But here's him talking about hip hop. Now, he's not talking about the CIA doing anything to hip hop, but he's just someone who's recognizing how detrimental it is to the community. So just listen to what this guy has to say. Sitting down with Tucker Carlson. Let's pop this up.
DSEG was started to roll. So you've actually lived this and seen it.
Yes.
Tell us about the change that you've seen.
I've seen black people lose their virtue. Even though they were poor, they were a virtuous society. Nobody went to jail. Nobody.
In your world that you lived in.
Yeah, nobody. Family stayed intact. People stayed married. Nobody getting divorced. It didn't happen. If a child was born and the parents weren't married, the grandparents took care of that child. It wasn't a single parent environment. He was staying with his grandparents. He had a mother and a father. He was taken care of, or she was taken care of. The people had a sort of majesty about them. They went to church. They were honest. Never saw a police officer hurt. Sheriff's department. People just got along. And now it's changed. The hip hop culture got involved in it. At the beginning of the hip hop culture, they tried to warn people about it. I remember when I think it was Tipper Gore and some other lady tried to warn people about
in the 80s.
In the 80s. The NAACP, C. Lawrence Tucker got involved, warning people about it. And then all of a sudden, from what Suge Knight says, Suge Knight said they started paying them and they all shut up. They started giving them money. And now the NAACP gives awards to them. Now all of the urban leagues, they give these guys awards. And the hip hop culture is a culture of sex, violence, and materialism. No virtue whatsoever. How many jokers you shot, how many women you slept with, how much money you got, violence, sexual gratification, virtueless. And Thomas Wolfe said, the great writer Thomas Wolfe said that culture is the arts elevated to a set of beliefs. So you have the arts, you have the culture, and you have the politics. In your arts, you have religion, you have music, you have books, you have television, radio. Those are the arts. And we allowed a satanic movement to take over the arts of the black community, and now it spread into the white community. And that was the hip hop culture. And you and I are listening to the Temptations and listening to all this great music going on, right? Stax. These people listen, I want to kill an N-word, I want to F again word. I mean, this little rapper in Memphis by the name of Glorilla, not Gorilla, Glorilla.
Yes.
Just was invited to the White House. Her hit record at the time was I F N-words for free. Gets a White House invitation. Barack Obama had all of them at the White House at one time. Had a little hip hop festival in the Oval Office. He had Rick Ross and Dr. Dre, Snoop, all of them. And all I'm talking about killing. So you see how a young society that wants to understand what right is, right? In our time, you had astronauts and Nobel laureates brought to the White House, right? And you say, that's what I want to aspire to be. Those people you brought to the White House were the people that you aspired to be, the heavyweight champion of the world, right? The Super Bowl champs, right? Those were the people you aspired to be. And now they bring these people and say, you should aspire to be that. And then they're alarmed when they are that. Well, you had Snoop at the White House. Snoop talking about smoking blunts every day. And he's on TV selling more merchandise than Morgan Freeman is right now. What is Snoop selling? Cars and selling beer and he's selling sneakers. And he a dope fiend. Talked about killing folks, talk about robbing people. But they made him a hero. And people look at this and they say, well, why are these things happening? That's why these things are happening, because you hold these people up as heroes in our society. Violent, evil, sadistic individuals. And when your children act like them, you're alarmed. Women walking around half naked talking about having sex with people. Then when they do it, they're shaking like them. You say, oh, what's going on? And you just kind of look at them and say, yeah. So you're wondering why.
Very, very true, man. I could not say it better myself. Ever since hip hop has become as demonic and depraved as it is now, there has been this thing in the black community, and it's spreading through society. You can see it everywhere, where we are putting on a pedestal. The worst of us are being put on a pedestal, and the best of us are being demonized. Patriots are being demonized. People who are hardworking men and women being demonized. House mothers are being demonized. Being comfortable in your skin as a person, just, hey, I'm a man. Hey, I'm a woman. That's just how it is. Hey, I'm just straight. All being demonized. All these things are being demonized, and the most wild of us, the most depraved, the most sick of us are being put on these pedestals. It's gross, but it happens in hip hop more than anything. It's crazy. Like he just talked about this girl, Glorilla. That's a real artist. Her name's Glorilla, and she has disgusting lyrics. And I mean, we all know Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, they all do. And then the guys as well. It's all about the girls. It's all about sexual depravity. The guys, it's all about actually doing drugs and harming people in their own community. It's such a terrible thing. Now, the reason I showed that is because there is a bit of a connection there. Because like he said, like this person just said, Vince, he just brought up the fact that you aspire to these people. They used to bring to the White House people, they still do a little bit, but they also bring these artists, which is wild. And Obama really did have all of them. It was like 15, 20 people, all with depraved lyrics, all there to be looked at as people to aspire to. But it used to be athletes and Olympians and people of that nature. It used to only be those people. That was all you wanted the younger people to aspire to, and that's all the president would want to align himself with. That was it. It's different now. Very different now. It's wild to see. So to think that isn't a little bit orchestrated. If we have people constantly looking up to Navy SEALs and Green Berets and hardworking men who just buckle down and work, and good fathers and good mothers and people who are well kept and well spoken, if we have everybody aspire to that, that's good for you and me, but that's not good for the people in power, because all it does is create a very powerful society that is not going to go for any nonsense. They're just not. Because everybody they look up to is honorable, and they're going to want to be honorable. And if the people in power aren't exhibiting the same type of honor, there's going to be an issue. There's going to be a butting of heads. It's just, so to think that this could possibly be something that they wanted to have happen, that they've kind of pushed to have happen, I 100% believe it. I mean, maybe 10 years ago, if we were talking about this, you could be like, nah, I don't know about all this. But I mean, look at it now. There's a new generation of stuff being pushed on us. You can't watch a show without the person who the character that used to be white is now black, or it's a female now, and they're changing this. And if you're watching some kind of show, there's always going to be a gay couple. There's always going to be a random trans person. All of this stuff gets pushed on us constantly. Goes in line with predictive programming. So to think that, and this is a little call out to Jamie a little bit, because he is saying how it all stems from this letter that's an anonymous person and you don't know it's real. That's not true. There have been many hip hop artists who don't make it in the industry because they're willing to speak up that have verified this, that talk about it. Meek Mill is even one of them. He said, if we want to make money, we have to make certain lyrics in certain songs. If we don't make those songs, our songs don't get played, We don't make our money back from the advances that we took, and we don't get to be an artist at the end of the day. And Ice Cube is saying this exact same thing. And, you know, if you're going to take the word of anybody in hip hop, this is Ice Cube saying this. This is not an anonymous letter, and he's not getting this from a letter. He has, you know, real world experience in all this. So let's take a listen.
So literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. So, you know, it seems really kind of suspicious, if you want to say that word, that, you know, the records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't. Certain flavors are exposed on the record. You know, some records are made by committee. Meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're gonna have this guy write the lyrics. We're gonna have that. So the narrative is really kind of, you know, structured and really made into what the record company want the record to be, and what the, you know, a lot of artists are frustrated with this kind of music making. You know, a lot of people, you know, feel like they're being controlled by the label. This is how they do it. Telling you what songs to sing, what hooks to do, what songs, you know, you can do your song, that's fine. That's an album cut. But the single is what we all say is the single. So you have, you know, the record company pushing the narrative, you know, and you know, so this to me is in somewhat, you know, some social engineering going on here to make sure those prisons stay full. Now, there's a lot of dots to connect to make that happen. But I'm just giving you a broad example of how people at the top can manipulate what's going on with the people who are bickering and fighting. I just gave you a music example, but there's examples of race.
Can I cross-examine this theory?
Of course you can cross-examine, of course. Of
No,
course.
I know, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if your theory is that the prison industrial complex, and I agree, that's an abomination. Start off with there. Prison I've done editorials on this on my show. Prison is one of those things that should not be in private hands.
Yes.
Along with healthcare, a few other things that are like, you know, the good part of socialism. They should not be run by people for profit. I agree with that.
Yes.
I did not know about this connection to the music industry, that it's the exact same people. If by that you mean that the people who run the record companies may have stock in prisons, private prisons, that's possible because they all have stock. I mean, do they actually like Monday, Tuesday go to work as a record company executive and Wednesday through Friday go to work at the prisons? No. Okay, so of
course they're not actually running the labels.
They have financial interest in it.
They have financial interest.
Okay, so if they have financial interest in the prisons, and your theory, if I'm following correctly, is that the kind of stuff in rap lyrics works as a funnel to get people inspired to do the kind of things that would get them in prison, right? Like, for example, writing a lyric, "fuck the police."
Yeah, I mean, writing a lyric, "fuck the police,"
might get somebody arrested and sent to prison.
That might get somebody arrested and sent to prison. That's just one example, one record that the record company did not manipulate. You know, that's pure artistry.
Right.
But I've seen labels. I've worked with artists.
Did they manipulate you?
No. I'm an independent artist. Always have been. I started off on independent labels.
So how were you able to avoid this trap that so many others fell in? What did you do right?
I wouldn't let an A&R asshole in my studio. Like, you're not fucking coming in here telling me how to make a record.
Right.
I'm gonna come from the heart. I'm gonna do what I feel. So I never allowed an A&R to. I never had anybody A&R me, but Dr. Dre. You know. So
That's pretty.
I just wasn't ever going for it. And
So that's Ice Cube talking about this whole thing. So if you're listening closely, there's a link, right? There's an older black man talking about things used to be really good, people used to be really virtuous. Now all of a sudden he's seeing this girl who's talking about depravity. She gets invited to the White House. People who are speaking about killing and doing all sorts of mayhem in the streets, they're getting invited to the White House. Then you have another man who's pretty much maybe not quite at the beginning of hip hop, but really, really close. I mean, I'm talking about just a few years from when hip hop really began, maybe 10 years. And he's talking about seeing a definite connection between the prison and record labels manipulating people. And I will add to this even that it's kind of funny. He doesn't see that he could have been possibly manipulated. You know, yeah, you might have wrote it and it may have been from the heart, pure artistry, as he was saying, but they could have easily looked at this and said, oh, this falls in line perfect with the agenda that we're trying to push this song along. Make this the biggest song in the country, actually. You know? For him to think like, no, that didn't happen to me. I only let Dr. Dre be my A&R. That was the closest thing to it. But, you know, whether or not you guys know it, I don't know. If you look at things now, Dr. Dre has been involved very much in pushing agendas in the music industry. Eminem is, in my opinion, technically the greatest MC to ever do it, but also with the rise of Eminem gave the record companies and whoever the ability to spread this agenda, not just to black communities, but it got aggressively spread into white communities as well through someone like Eminem. Vanilla Ice was the first attempt, but he was corny. You know, he got threatened. He got death threats. He got hung off of a building by Suge Knight. There's a lot of things that happened with him. He wasn't real enough. Eminem, on the other hand, was incredible. He was undeniable skill-wise, and all they had to do was push him the right way, give him the right backing, which was Dr. Dre, someone who solidified as one of the architects in hip-hop. And there you go. So for him to think that he's not getting manipulated at all is a little funny. I think he definitely did, and he just didn't realize it. And I think that happens a lot in the industry right now. Right now, there is somebody who's pushing the agenda. That Glorilla girl could be one of them. She's a terrible rapper. She's absolutely horrible. But for some reason, all of her music is working. And the record labels are probably like, keep making that music, girl. Come on. Yeah, this is the greatest thing ever. And she's probably like, I'm not really that great. But I guess people just like my stuff. And the whole machine just goes to work and makes her the next big thing. Interesting stuff. Just wanted to bring you guys that. So a little call out to Jamie. It's not just embedded in a letter. There's many people who have been talking about this. And in my opinion, there's some solid proof as you talk to older black people who are in hip hop. You start to see that there was something that happened, and I don't think it was organic at all myself. But anyways, guys, just wanted to bring that to you. Like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, helps the channel tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.